The silver column of bubbles floated lazily toward the surface, leaving tiny globs of air to hang momentarily on the lips of the barrel sponge and plate coral above Jason's head. Despite the 80-foot depth, the tropical sun was bright enough to make an artist's palette of color of the wall, a natural drop that fell into the hazy blue hundreds of feet below. His artistic eye was oblivious to the spectacular quality of his surroundings. Instead, his attention was focused on something else as he hung motionless over the abyss, concentrating on a small hole in which he could see a spider crab. Though it was small in body, the crustacean's legs and claws were large enough to make a meal for two, a meal of the sweetest meat Jason had ever tasted. He wouldn't taste this one, though, unless he could get it out of its lair. The crab had retreated far enough back that it was out of reach, and Jason had left his spear in the boat. Nothing to do but remember the spot and come back. That tangle of branch-like black coral would make a good marker, he thought as he flicked his fins and slowly moved on. His dive watch told him he still had a good 20 minutes before the pressure of depth presented any danger of the bends. He watched a leopard ray glide by, its wings rippling in a graceful simulation of flight. Then he heard it, an angry buzzing, like the sound of an electric razor, growing louder. An outboard. Inside his mask, his eyebrows curved into a frown. On an island as sparsely populated as North Caicos, there were plenty of places for the natives to fish without dropping a line on the section of wall he was diving. Surely, they could see the boat and would know he was down there. Maybe they'd go on by. Somehow he doubted it. As if to confirm his suspicions, he heard a splash and watched an anchor pull its line down to the sandy shelf 40 feet above his head as the motor died. Jason waited, expecting to hear the thunk of a sinker on a hand line as it hit the water. He wanted to see where the treble hooks preferred by the locals were hanging rather than risk getting snagged. No fishing line, sinker, or hook was forthcoming. Strange. Unless the boat's occupant wasn't fishing, unless somebody had come out here for him. He bit the soft rubber of his regulator's mouthpiece in annoyance. There would be only one reason for somebody to come out here after him, and they were supposed to leave him alone for the next 3 months. 2 jobs a year, that was it, the max. It had only been weeks since the affair on St. Bart's. In fact, it would be fine if they overlooked him for a year or 2. The work had paid well enough for him to retire as it was, enough to mandate that he reside someplace with no income taxation. His employer managed to satisfy the IRS by means Jason felt were best not inquired into, but sheltering his income where he lived was his responsibility, hence his present residence. He had built the house as a vacation home, an excuse to claim residence in a tax haven. Now it was where he lived, had been home since his life had been turned upside down and shaken out as though the gods were emptying a paper bag. Ever since... He pushed the thought out of his mind and glared up at the hull of the newly arrived boat. Well, if they were determined to intrude on his dive, they damn well could wait until he finished. Maybe that crab was back on the edge of its hole. A pair of passing jack rolled shiny button eyes at him in curiosity. 20 minutes later, Jason reached the surface and tossed the crab into his boat, followed by his flippers and weight belt. From the water, he could see Pangloss barking wildly back into the stern as far as the dog could get from the wildly thrashing crustacean. Pangloss hated crabs. His irrepressible curiosity had led to more than one painful experience involving the creature's massive claws. Regardless, the dog insisted on joining Jason on dives, running into the water with baleful howls every time Jason tried to leave him ashore. Apparently barking at dolphins and seagulls was sufficient compensation for sitting in the boat for an hour while Jason probed the wall for lobster or crab. Jason climbed into the 12-foot Boston whaler, his back intentionally toward the small craft rocking next to his in the gentle swell. On the horizon he could see a sport fisherman,